fraud and bribery scam targeting food stamps, and the USDA employee who's charged actually worked in the division responsible for identifying food stamp fraud.
USDA employee and 5 other people are charged in what authorities are calling one of the largest food stamp frauds in U.S. history. Now you're looking at the name.
So sad and devastating to see and witness a government official who is supposed to act as a front line to curb down food stamp crime has now become a criminal herself. In this video, we'll be seeing Arlasa Davis being exposed for a criminal act in the food stamp crisis.
6 people are now charged with a huge fraud and bribery scam targeting food stamps, and the USDA employee who's charged actually worked in the division responsible for identifying food stamp fraud.
USDA employee and 5 other people are charged in what authorities are calling one of the largest food stamp frauds in U.S. history. Now you're looking at the names of the defendants in the case on your screen.
So apparently this all started in 2019 when a man named Michael sold 160 unauthorized EBT terminals to unauthorized retailers. These unauthorized terminals processed a whopping sum of $13 million in fraudulent food stamp transactions.
Charged with conspiracy to steal government funds and to misappropriate USDA benefits. Arlasa Davis is the USDA employee accused in the case. She faces additional charges of bribery and honest services fraud. A U.S. attorney says Davis betrayed the public trust by selling confidential government information to the very criminals she was supposed to catch. One investigator says Davis assisted her co-conspirators in exploiting the SNAP program, creating more than $66 million in unauthorized transactions.
A U.S. Department of Agriculture employee and 5 others.
It's so devastating to know that Arlasa Davis, who is supposed to know and detect fraudulent crime, she literally abused her office, snapped licensed numbers for authorized retailers and gave it to unauthorized retailers. For me, it's how she turned a blind eye to all those crimes, and she was a part of it all, abusing her power, abusing her office, because she used her office to her own benefit as a means to siphon out money from the program.
A fraud and bribery scheme that prosecutors say defrauded the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, also known as food stamps, of $66 million in unauthorized transactions. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York called it one of the largest food stamp frauds in U.S. history. Prosecutors said Michael Kehoe, who is of no apparent relation to Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe, led a New York-based network that tricked the government into issuing about 160 electronic benefit transfer EBT machines to businesses that were not eligible to have them, including smoke shops and other ineligible businesses. These businesses processed fake or illegal transactions, totaling more than $30 million in EBT activity.
In order for a retailer to be able to access government funds as a form of payment, you need to register in an application portal for approval, and that is where this whole thing actually started. So anything online based, there's always a loophole for fraud. That's actually the case here, because Arlasa Davis saw the opportunity, there was a loophole, and she took it upon herself to use that to commit crime instead of her blocking the loophole and resolving that problem. The FBI and the moment and the USDA officials are part of this investigation, and I know this will have a long-term imprisonment for these people. It's devastating. It's sad that being called a criminal in a place where you work, it's actually a shame. And Arlasa Davis brought this upon herself, and I know this is going to be a long one for her in jail. Summary of this is, it's so unfortunate that these unauthorized terminals actually allowed the government's own funds and money, which is actually taxpayers' money, to be spent on things that are not supposed to be allowed on the food stamp cards, on the EBT cards. And this actually went on for over 6 years, which is quite alarming and devastating. I want to know what's your own thoughts about all this.